Initially, we discuss about SQL theory and as well as the database theory. What exactly the SQL is, why there is a requirement of SQL or even a database. Even we already have that our data sets available in Excel. Then the advantage, disadvantages. And I do have written these blogs on the detailed explanation of each and every terminology that is required in order to give the answers to your interviewer, or maybe just for the learning purpose that you probably wanted to explore the SQL knowledge to get job either in a data science or maybe in a data engineer or exactly in a data analytics, whatever it is. Then we also have discussed about the database SQL and like why we have chosen MySQL. That we already have discussed. Like basically there are like multiple types of databases available. Databases is nothing but the software where we usually store our multiple tables, and it's not only about storing the data set. It can give us the like multiple capabilities, like probably about security purpose or maybe managing the data set in a proper way. All those functionality comes under this database software. So there are like multiple softwares, and each and every software required SQL language, but not exactly the same language is required for each. For example, there are like two database. Oracle is one and MySQL is another one, or maybe third one is the SQL server. So there is like minor changes required in order to write a SQL queries to fetch a data set, delete a data set, or to perform the multiple operations on your tables or databases. So like as I mentioned, only the 90%, sorry, only the 10% changes are over there in a SQL queries. Otherwise, SQL queries are more or less same for the each and every databases. So we have chosen over here in this entire session MySQL database. MySQL is like pretty popular database and can do the like multiple stuff, and it's not like always basically the developer's choice. Probably sometimes company decides which database they want based on a prices, based on a security, based on their trust level. And in the categories, we have discussed about two categories. One is mainly the relational databases, and another one is the NoSQL databases. So relational is like the where we have like information we basically store in a tables format. Non-SQL databases are where we have the information which is like in unstructured format, like for example images, data, documents, or maybe the graph db. So those are not exactly available in a structured format. Structured means that has rows and columns that we do have in a tables. So those kind of information, if we would like to store in a databases, we have to choose a different databases. So for that, NoSQL is there. Then advantages and some disadvantages for the DBMS. Then we also have discussed about installation part. So for the installation, basically this is the particular IDE that you can choose, and you can run your SQL queries and start learning your SQL queries directly on a web, Google Chrome. This is like straightforward installation, or maybe I would say the like uses that you can choose and do the like in 4 to 5 steps and can start learning. So for that you need to use this particular command on terminal, wherever the terminal starts, and then you can start writing the like some queries. There is like basic queries that I do have provided over here, but these are the all the queries that we are gonna discuss in detail, like in SQL command session that we are going to conduct today. And then for the local installation, like these are like basic steps that I do have provided, like where you can download the MySQL from this particular website. And like these are the windows that will pop up when you start installing, and you can choose required setup as explained over there. And once that is particular setup is done, you can double click and open the this MySQL database software. So once you open this MySQL data software, this will directly, this basically looks like this, where you can start writing your queries and can play with this particular database. So that's what we discussed in earlier session. So today we are more of going to discuss about SQL command. So again, yes, before jumping into the SQL command, let me just cover one more topic that is required. Like this is basically the theoretical part that comes with any language, like what kind of data types available. So for example, in Python we have a data types integer, float, string, boolean. So each and every language requires some data types and like some operators, yeah, in order to perform the operations and manipulation. So it can be the mathematical operations, or maybe you can call it as a logical operator. So each language is requires that. So let's discuss that first, and then we'll jump directly on commands. So, additionally, when you write your SQL queries, not all the softwares are case sensitive, but basically most of the software are sensitive. Case sensitive means you can write your SQL queries, for example, for the one of the command that you would like to type, like create a database or maybe they create a table, something like that. So you can directly type everything in capital letter or maybe everything in a small letter. That usually works. So not every time you have to write in uppercase, but recommended way is you should always write your SQL queries in uppercase, but it works. And additionally, you always have to provide semicolon after each and every your query. If you have not provided semicolon after your query, that will not run. So make sure that you write your queries in uppercase, like if you would like to write in a very professional way, and semicolon is like the most that you should provide. These are the like two things that you need to keep in mind. Then the data types are like pretty straightforward, like other data types that we have. And why there is a requirement of data types specifically in a databases. So Python, if we would like to import any data set from Excel or CSV directly in a Python using pandas command, we don't actually have to provide what exactly the data type of each and every column. For example, I just have three columns in a student data: name, gender, and marks. For example, these are the like three columns I have in my data set. So you can directly import that data set from Excel, and pandas can automatically can able to understand that this is like basically first column is categorical, second column is categorical, and third column is basically the numerical, and it will automatically define or maybe assign this data types. But in SQL, while creating a tables, you must have to provide what kind of data type this particular column preserves. So that is additional information that needs to be provided while creating a tables. Mainly, like whenever you would like any web developer, not you, basically the any web developer or maybe mobile app developer, they also use SQL or maybe any kind of databases in their projects. So they just wanted to create like simple login page, like wherever you open any new classes websites or maybe anywhere that you would like to subscribe for anything. So you basically have to provide some information on a login page, and once you log in, you can directly start exploring their products or whatever the information they have inside their app or web app, whatever it is. So first name, last name, mobile number, username, password. So you can define while basically someone or maybe any user like basically start importing their information on their fields. So you can mention that this particular field should have the alphabet, so automatically error will come if you have inserted accidentally any symbols or maybe any number while writing your name. Similarly, for the mobile number, this particular field only will accept your numbers, not the any character or something like that. Password can accept anything. Username should accept only the letters, or maybe if you would like to add numbers, periods based on your situation. So that kind of playlist they can do as a web developer or maybe as a mobile app developer. So this is like basically controlling each and every your column in your database by at the time of passing the information. So that kind of control we have in a SQL, but that we don't have in a Python. uh, and these are like basically the data types that comes in MySQL. So each and every database has a slightly different data types, but mostly whichever the right major one. For example, the I would like to store all the string information or maybe the numeric information or maybe the date time information. So these are like a major data types that we know. For that, basically all the data types, all the SQL uses the like same functionality. Like for example, for the characters or maybe varchar characters, binary variables, or maybe text and all that. Like additional, there are like so small, long text, small text, medium text. So minor changes will be replicated in other databases. So in this session, we are not gonna consider key basically what other databases uses the data types, but basically in MySQL these are the like databases for the strange data type. You can just explore that over here. For the numeric data types, major one are basically this the boolean one, or maybe the integer, or maybe the float values. These are like major ones that is required all the time. And date time is like additional feature that SQL has, where you can store either date, or maybe date time, or maybe the timestamp, or maybe just a time, or maybe just a year. So that kind of information related to date, if you would like to store, you can use this kind of data type in SQL. Operators are again same as a Python or maybe any other programming language, and that operators, if you like to use inside SQL queries, that comes with the clauses. So what are the like different clauses that comes under SQL queries that we will see in later sessions, but operators majorly use along with this SQL statement, where statement. So operators, you can consider this multiplication, addition, logical operators, and or operators. So it's more of like similar to the other languages. So you can like basically just like simple explanation about what are the like different operators that you have. You can just go through that, like again in the logical operators, like and or operators, that comes with the like choosing the different columns, or maybe different fields, or maybe different rows, where you can basically use all those things. Between, in, not, these are like additional operators, that those are the like part of SQL queries that we have you probably have not heard in other languages, probably in R or Python. What are like between, in, not, any, or like operators. But those are the like basically operators that we'll discuss basically in detail when we are gonna start on the SQL commands. And additional that we have is basically the wildcard characters. So that is also we'll discuss that in coming session. Let's just do the practical hands-on on SQL commands. What stuff we can perform over here, how exactly we can create the data, sorry, basically the tables, database, and everything we'll discuss over here. So as discussed, like few of the commands I'll also cover from yesterday's session as well, like this create, or maybe I guess, yeah, only the creating of the database and tables, that command we considered. So SQL commands are basically just an instruction that we follow, or maybe it's an language to communicate to your laptop, or maybe to a database software to perform a specific task, or maybe to perform a specific functions, or maybe querying a data set. So SQL can perform a variety of tasks. It's not only about creating a table or maybe creating a database. We can basically add, delete tables, or maybe add databases, delete the databases, drop the table. So apart from a table, we also would like to explore the some functionality for the each and every column, or maybe for the each and every row. So adding the multiple columns, or maybe removing the columns, deleting the columns, or maybe doing like some mathematical operations on top of these columns or rows. All those kind of like basically operations we can perform. So type of SQL commands are majorly DDL, means data definition language, DML, DCL, and TCL. So we will go one by one. So DDL is basically nothing but the data definition language. It's like a starting point of learning the SQL, where you just have to deal with your database, or maybe deal with your table. So once you understand what functionalities are required in order to understand the database, or maybe in order to play with your database, as well as play with your table. Table means, as I explained, table is nothing but you can consider this as an Excel sheet. So wherever you would like to play only table level, or maybe only a database level, so for that we can use the DDL, data definition language. In order to understand this data definition language, there are like some queries or SQL queries that are required. Uh, with the help of that we can play with the database as well as we can play with the table. We are not gonna directly jump into the what are the rows and columns we have in a table. For now we are just gonna discuss top level commands, that can help us creating a tables or maybe the deleting table or altering tables or maybe high level column names, something like that. So there are like only five commands comes under this ddl, like create. Basically the first one is the create, second one is basically alter, then we have rename, then fourth one truncate. Yeah, so and the fifth one that we have is a drop one. So create is basically creating a database or maybe creating a table. Altering is again required in order to alter exist like with existing database, like with the help of this particular create we will create like any particular table. So if we would like to play some operations like altering the some columns from here to there or maybe something like that, or renaming the entire data, or maybe table, or maybe truncating. Means truncate is basically nothing but the deleting all the information that we have in our data in our table. So, or maybe dropping the table or maybe the dropping the databases. So let's just create any database. Let's just see what are the different databases are available. You can see here like the these one. I'll just remove what you want to remove. You always have to provide over here. Drop command is same for the table as well as for the database. So I would like to create a database with the same name. That's the reason I remove earlier. Then you can see, so this data set is being reflected over here, the one that I created. So once you create a basically a database, next task is basically you would like to see the tables. Let's see. So we basically, you can see that this red line is tagging over here. Like database is basically, sorry, we have to first use a database. Otherwise, system will not know in which database we are in. And let's see, still show tables is not working. So we will create like any table. So I'll just copy the one of the table command from here instead of typing everything. So this is like the persons table that I would like to create. So same as the like the database, create table. Only thing is that you have to pass the name. So over here, this is nothing but the database name. Similarly, this is the table name. So inside the table, I would like to pass some information, or maybe you can say the some column that I would like to define. And for each and every column, you have to provide the data type. That's the like most required thing for any SQL queries. It's not about the MySQL. If you would like to write your queries probably in SQL Server or maybe any other basically databases, but still you have to provide this information. So we discuss about the different data types. So integer is basically obviously for the wherever you would like to store the numeric data set. Varchar is for the characters, that last name first name is just nothing but the character. City is again a character. So all those information we would like to store or maybe consider this as a categorical variable. So for that you I base, or maybe you have to pass these data types along with the value. So it just 255 is like the max value that varchar has. So and in order to run your commands in over here, you can just like I guess no, for the Jupyter notebook you have to press shift enter, and for the MySQL you have to press control enter. So once you do that, you can able to basically see that there is like some. Let me just see. I just type over there but have not run this. So then I'll just run this again. Create table. So now you can see again tables, the persons. So that's the like table is being created. Once the table is created, next command that we discuss is the alter. So create is just only for the creating the command. So that's job of the create command is done. That we have created database, we have created the table. That's the only thing create command can do. Then let's just move to alter commands. So alter is, as I mentioned, basically it use adding or maybe deleting or maybe modifying the columns. So it depends on these columns. So we have person ID, last name, first name, and city. So in order to see how the data set is looks like, you can also describe your data set. So in pandas, we have df.describe, like if you have store your data set in df, one of the variable, but in basically sql you basically has to provide the like first queries and then your table name. For example, my table name over here is persons. Then you can see that person id is integer, values are null. For now we have nothing, we just have defined high level schema or maybe high level data frame where my IDs field means basically the columns. So for me, I have four columns. The type of data type of each and every column is this one. All the like null values are available over there. The reason is basically there is nothing in at the moment in my data. Sorry, in the table. So let's just see about the alter commands. So alters are basically, as I mentioned, can help you deleting, adding, or maybe modifying your columns. So alter is like same as alter. Then you have to provide, like basically you would like to do the operation on a table, then table, that's what you have to provide, and then the table name. So table name is this basically the persons. Then you basically would like to probably add additional column. So similarly add, I just wanted to add probably the person's email address. So email, and for email is nothing but this character or categorical variable. So same thing you can do over here and count. So in SQL, every query, if you think like basically basic, this is new operations is being started. If you would like to add every new operation is every new line, you can do that, or maybe you can directly do over here. Both usually works. Just for the simplicity and the better understanding, the standard way is each and every query we usually separate with the like new line. So let's just see one more time. Here you can see that email is being added is one of our column. So you can add or maybe you can drop. So similarly, and additionally, if you would like to add the multiple columns, this is just for the single column. We just talk about the single column that we would like to add. Similarly, you can add the multiple column using the same command. Only thing is that add email, add this one you have to replicate two times. So email is already we do have added. Let's add something. For example, country, and additionally state, something like that. Okay, some here I need to remove this semicolon, and here I need to add the like comma in order to separate the queries. So this is how SQL can understand the stuff. Like basically, when you have the first line, you don't have to do anything. For the second line, you always have to add the, like this comma, and once you complete your entire SQL statement, you must have to add semicolon. Semicolon is nothing but basically this entire query. SQL can basically trying to understand that yes, you have completed your task, or maybe you have completed your query, or maybe in another language you can say that you have completed your code snippet, the task whatever you would like to perform. So here the task is I would like to add two columns in my data frame. So this is how you can do that. So these are the like two different lines that you need to separate out with the column, and the task, that entire task I do have completed, so that's the reason I have added this semicolon over here. So this is like basically all about the adding the stuff with your already existing table with the help of alter command. So similarly, with the help of alter command, you can drop the columns. So alter, then you basically want to do the alter command on a table, then you have to pass your table name, then same as a drop, then whichever the like column that you would like to drop. Probably sorry, let's just add this country, show tables, no, like describe. So this will show you a table like country is being removed. Similarly, you can remove this state. You can see that with this describe your table, like it's same as like earlier one, that addition of this country and state that is being removed. Then this is all about just adding the single or maybe the multiple columns, or maybe deleting the columns. But probably on a particular uh, table, like one of the column, for example, here we have five columns, and key, there are like multiple keys that comes with the SQL, and or maybe any databases, not with the MySQL only, like primary key, secondary key, like basically just an uh, to get like proper management. So what exactly the meaning of keys and all, so going further we will discuss in detail. But the, like assigning any particular column as a key, for example in id or maybe index, in python we can assign any column as an index or something like that. Based on that, we try to extract the some things based on some sort of index, considering any column that we have created so far in our table as a primary key or secondary key. So in order to perform that, again alter table persons, then you can add constraint using uh, con- yes. So just like Python, SQL can also suggest you the keywords that you probably is not able to remember or something like that. So that's like good thing. You don't always have to remember the each and every keywords that are the part of SQL. Then I basically would like to create the primary key. Let me just see. Prime. Okay. Can do like this, and then anything in our table we have person ID. So we can assign this one. And let's just run this one more time. You can see that like key is primary is being assigned to this person ID. So you can like basically assign whichever the column you would like to assign as a primary key, secondary key, or maybe if you would like to again delete that whichever the primary key that you have created, you can simply use the drop and remove the primary key. Let's just do that as well. Persons, then drop, and then I guess just have to drop the primary key. That will automatically drop. See table. Okay, describe person, not exactly. So this key, okay, I need to run this first and then should remove drop primary key from. I need to see that again command. I forgot the like about the dropping the primary key. Thing is that basically you can add the constraint. So this is like alter command is only basically used in order to add the constraint on your existing columns that you have in your data set. So adding the constraint and deleting the constraint with the help of drop and add commands, you can do that parallelly. So for the MySQL, this is like basically for the SQL server, the command works. But for the MySQL, I forgot the moment. I'll just add that in repo later. So okay, so that is like we discussed so far. Create, alter, and the renaming. Basically the tables. So let's discuss about rename command. That is for the renaming a table. It's like straightforward. You would like to rename your table, then you have to pass your table name. In my situation I have persons to what name you would like to assign, for example persons info. So if you would like to describe your table, or maybe let's just see and say that like only the person info is available in our Vision NLP database. So this person is being replaced with the person info. So person is not available. It's not copying in a person info. It's basically replacing it. So going further, you will not be able to run anything with the help of persons as a your table name. So a table name that you must have to use is as a person name. Or maybe if you truncate, we don't have anything at the moment to use the truncate command. Truncate basically used in order to remove all the information that you have in your database. So we will truncate table and then person. I'll just run this to show you that like this will give you an error saying that vision NLP dot person doesn't exist. So for that we need to add correct table name, so that way it will remove the zero rows affected. So we basically have no information, as I mentioned, like no like rows or maybe anything that we have added so far. So insert is like again that comes under DML, like data management language, sorry, data manipulation language. So over there are like some commands where we can add actually the some information or maybe some stuff inside the SQL tables that we have created. But with the help of this, all the commands, we can simply able to create the tables or something like that. So we can also use the drop in order to drop the table. So it will just drop the table. We do have discussed that yesterday as well. I'll just run this persons info. And if we show tables, that will reflect nothing, as we don't have any tables listed in our database. like all the tables and information is lost like once we use that. So while using the drop commands, you must have to be careful before using this command. The reason is like probably the most important information is available, or maybe you should have to take the like some backup of your database or maybe the tables. Otherwise you will lose all the important information from your tables if you have like admin access or something like that. So that is like it's worse like if you have accidentally created any particular table or maybe replicated the any tables that you would like to you delete, then you can use that. Otherwise can keep like more of like if you have some information or files available in your local directory and that you would like to delete, you usually choose shift delete or maybe delete. So delete can still store the information in your recycle bin, but drop is usually removes everything if you have the like admin access. So just make sure twice or thrice like if you really would like to delete the any particular table. So this is all about the basically the ddl commands that we have discussed so far. DDLs means that nothing but the uh, data definition language. So that is more of related basically for like just in order to play with your table and your database. It is not doing anything at row level, it is just doing everything on at the top level where you have just a table, probably column level as well, as you have like some columns that you would like to add the like some column, but only schema level that you have to define your columns. So we are just defining the columns by adding or maybe dropping the columns. We still are not have added the like any information. So